Miller, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. I go live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you some things I've been working on. Last week was a big week with Stampin' Up! We released our online exclusives, so we're going to play with another one of those bundles that just got released. This one is a fall bundle, and I think that you will find it to be very versatile. It's also a card that's going to be made at my stamp stack this week. So that's what I've actually been working on, is getting ready for 20 people to come over and make a bunch of cards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out what we've got today. Flip over to my desktop, and there's nothing there. All right, so this is the bundle. It's called Simply Leaves, and it is a punch bundle, meaning that we have a stamp set with the leaves and some nice sayings, and then we have a punch that goes with it. And this punch coordinates with some of the leaves that you can stamp here. So we're going to go ahead and make a card. So let's start with my favorite fall color of all time, which is Cajun Craze. I actually adapted this card from Debbie Henderson, and she used as her base early espresso. But when I make a fall card, I almost always have to use Cajun Craze. To me, it just screams fall. So that is what I did. So here we go. I took this is a standard, this was 8.5 by 5.5, and you can find all the dimensions for this card in the description of this video. So don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. You just follow along. Okay, we're going to take a piece of white willow and put this on the inside of my card so that when we go to write in it, we can see what we're writing. And this is something I almost always do. So there we go. Okay, we're going to set this aside now, and we are going to work on another piece of the white willow, and we're going to stamp a little bit of a background. So let me just bring out that stamp set again. I'm going to put that right here so that you can see the different stamps that we're going to work with. I was very excited because this card uses a lot of stamps. A lot of times I rely on designer series papers and die cuts and things, and this card does not. So it makes it very easy to work with. So actually, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use this stamp. This has kind of the veins of the leaves, but look, when you use it just on its own, it kind of looks like branches from a tree, right? But it also, as I said, will fit in and blend and go with very nicely the center of our leaves. So I'm going to do this, and I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Usually I would put 5, I would make it an odd number, but this kind of is. It's 1, 2, and 3. But we're going to be covering up a lot of it anyway. So I like to work in odd numbers. It's aesthetically pleasing, artistically pleasing. It's a rule of art. And I didn't mention that we're using our Cajun Craze ink pad. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put that aside because we're going to do some more stamping. So we'll be here. Actually, we can just go ahead and put this on our card front. Let's do that. That way we don't have to worry about it. So just using my regular Stampin' Seal, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the card front. Okay, there we go. And we'll put that aside. All right, back to our stamps. So next I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take this piece of white willow, and this is just a strip. It's actually a leftover. When I cut my white willow 12 by 12 paper into the standard 4 by 5 1/4 that I use on the outside and the inside of my cards, I'm always left with a strip of 12 by 1 1/2. And this one is not one of those because I jumped the gun. This one is, and we're going to use that next, but this is actually 1 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to take one of the biggest stamps that come in the set, and that's one of these leaves. And you can see there are different designs that we could use, and I chose to use this one for this card. And I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it onto that strip of paper. Okay, so you see it fits nicely in there, and then I'm going to grab the punch. And of course, this is the beauty of a bundle. It all will go together. So you can see I stamped it this way. Where's the camera? There we go. But if I go to put it in, it's backwards, right? No big deal. Let's relax, and we just turn the paper over, and we'll cut it out this way. I can't tell you how many times people get puzzled over that. They stamp it one way and they can't figure out how to get it in, when really all they need to do is turn their paper around. So just something to think about if you're coming to class. So here we have one of our leaves. So beautiful. Makes it easy. So I'll put that there where we can see it. So next up, we are going to take a strip of, this is the Cajun Craze two-tone paper. So you can see one side is lighter than the other. And I'm actually going to use the lighter side for this particular leaf. And I'm going to go ahead and just punch it out. And I'm punching it before I stamp it, only because for me, it makes it a little bit easier. Normally, I always say stamp then punch, but for this, because the stamp we're putting on the inside doesn't fill the entire space, I wanted to do it this way. So I'm taking the dotted one, and so again, this is supposed to be like the veins of a leaf, and I'm going to position it so that it is in the center of this leaf. And it just allows a little bit of texture. I'm going to flip that over because I pressed too hard, and I guess it just got in there and could clean it. But rather than that, I'm just going to press it, and you can see that. So I do like it on the light side better personally, but either way is going to work. So there we go. I could have punched another one, right? I could have done that. All right, and I keep going to put this away, but we have some more punching to do, or stamping to do. So now we're going to take that piece that is that 1.5 inches wide, and all I did was cut it in half to 6 inches just to make it easier to work with. And I'm going to stamp right on there. Now this one, the punch is too big, right? The punch, it's not going to work, right? So we are going to have to fussy cut this. And I know I do try to avoid fussy cutting, but for this particular card, I don't think it's necessary because cutting out this leaf is really very easy. So I'm just taking a sharp pair of scissors, and I am leaving just a teeny white border around the outside. And actually in some places I didn't. I am not a very good fussy cutter, but I do know that one of the keys is to cut and turn your paper and not turn your scissors. So my hand is staying in one place. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to just curve it around, and that is how I'm getting my nice clean cuts for my, and on the last one I did, I picked up the scissors, but sometimes just makes sense. So now we have 3 different leaves, okay? And that's what we're going to use for our card. And let's just stamp one more thing since we've got our ink pad out. This stamp set has some cute sayings, a little something to say hello. Thinking of you often, thanks, and I'm grateful for your kindness. So all lovely. I'm going to use the thinking of you often, and I'm just taking a piece of, this is Petal Pink cardstock. To be honest, this is the 2-tone paper, and sometimes I do get it confused a little bit with the crisp cantaloupe, because it is kind of close, but this is definitely the Petal Pink, and I'm going to use the light side. Remember, the 2-tone paper has a light and a dark side, and I'm going to stamp it towards the right end of that strip of Petal Pink cardstock. And now I think we're done with our ink. Great. Okay, so now let's assemble our card so you can see what we're actually making here. So in addition to this strip, I also have a strip of the, little ink on me, the Cajun Craze, and this is about 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches, and we're going to be laying this across the card. And again, I'll remind you that this design was from Debbie Henderson, and I just thought it just looked, it featured what I wanted to feature very nicely, and I liked the way that the design flowed. So that is where I got this. So I'm going to take that strip, and you saw that I cut it on an angle, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to my card front towards the bottom. Okay, and I am butting it all the way up against the left side. Trying to lay it down straight. Sometimes a challenge. So that's what that looks like. Then I'm going to take this strip and I'm going to cut it on an angle right at the end. And you can see I'm going to apply my adhesive to the back of this. And again, you can use whatever adhesive makes you happy. I'm just using my Stampin' Seal. And I am going to butt this all the way up again. I'm going to overlap it a little bit. Actually, I'm going to start at the top there, but I am going to cut this a little bit more. I want it to be able to show. Okay, so by positioning it, I can see where I'm going with it. And I'm actually going to raise it up just a little bit. Put it on straight, and there you have your angles. Probably what I should have done, and I would suggest, is that you cut these at the same time, so that way you have the same angle, so you can see that's kind of a boo-boo, but that's okay, it happens. We're going to take our solid leaf, and we're going to add this to the card with regular adhesive, and I'm going to put it right about here, and I'm going to push it down a little bit. Okay, so we've got that, and we're just going to make a little bouquet of leaves on the left side of the card. And we're making that bouquet by just overlapping them. So you can see. And then for this last one, we're going to use some dimensionals because it will do well to pop up a little bit. So there we go. We've got one dimensional on there. And you can see how I've got them all down here. And they're connected down there. And the last thing is we're going to take some of our linen thread. And again, a terrific neutral, very easy to work with. You can see I work with it right on the roll, and I just tie the bow. So I make my loop, I come around, and then I come back through, and depending upon how my nails are doing that day, I get a good bow or not, and then I just fiddle with it a little bit. You want to have your loops about the same size. You can have them big, you can have them small, and that's up to you. But you can see how this gives you a sweet little bow, and then you're just going to cut it off, and that way you're wasting a little bit less, because a lot of times when you cut a string, you know, a length of string, and maybe you have a lot left over, you have not enough, and you have to start over again, that all happens. So this is a way of avoiding that. And then finally, we're going to add this to the card. Not finally. I always keep saying finally, but we're not final yet. We are going to use a glue dot. And again, when I do my videos, I just use these glue dots that come in various kits, like Paper Pumpkin. I just always have a lot of them on hand. There's always tons of leftovers. And then they are perfect for adding ribbon to a card. So isn't that pretty? And then now, finally, we are going to add some of our shimmery gems. And these are the pearlized faceted circles. I've been using them over and over and over and over again. They just are so pretty. And I'm going to suggest using the ones that are the lighter pink, which is, they are designed to be the petal pink. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to put one big one down here, one little one next to it, and I'm making that visual triangle. So I'm going to put a little one up here. And again, I'm using odd numbers, so we've got 3 leaves, we've got 3 of our gems, and we've got 3 of these little background things, which is really 4, but we're going to count them as 3. We could put another one to make it 5, but I wanted to leave some white space. I thought the white space was important on this card to keep it from getting overtaken by the monochromatic coloring and all of that. So that's today's card. So again, those of you coming to Stamp a Stack will get to make this card this weekend. And if you haven't purchased this bundle, you might want to think about it, because this is just one of many, many ideas of things that you can do with this. I love the idea of using the punch and cutting it out of designer series paper as opposed to stamping it, or mixing those stamped and just DSP together. So look out, there'll be a lot more ideas coming up. So thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.